Jessica, thank you for joining me,
Of
and I
course.
really appreciate your time today.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
what we're going to talk today is I really do appreciate you being here because I know we have a lot of questions about people that want to have a consult with the counselor at the same office where Dr. Morse is at, and I know there's a bit of confusion out there about, who's counselor, where's the counselor, you're the counselor.
I'm the counselor here at Dr. Morse's Detox Centers. Actually, we're in the midst of a name change, so we're becoming Morse's Health Center.
Right.
That word detox associates us with a different type of detox.
That's
So
right.
we've had a lot of traffic that way. So Jason just decided to change our name. But yes, I am the only counselor here, so you're stuck with me whether you like it or not.
Fantastic. Yes. So it's morseshealthcenter.com. And anyone going to the old website, the Morses Detox Center, will be redirected to the new one automatically.
Mhm.
So that's fantastic. So, um, Jessica, let's speak about detox and detoxification, regenerative detox. Let's talk about it from a really basic perspective, maybe from someone that's never um, heard of Dr. Morse or seen any of his videos or has just started. Detoxification or detox is like this overused word that means like 5 million things to five people. How would you describe it?
Detox to me is elimination. That's my main focus. That's what's got our species into this state is a lack of elimination. And so once we open up those pathways, we open that door essentially. I feel like the possibilities are limitless. The things I've seen accomplished not only in my own physical body, but in so many others, it's astounding. Every time I'm still there with my mouth hanging open when we see it align or we have that, we get to that happy day, that success. It's really just allowing your body to do what it was meant to do. We have just got ourselves in such a state of evolution now. It's like we're moving backwards. And so that's why the diet is the way that it is. That's why we see the things we do along this process, but it's all ends in light and regeneration, health, happiness, that kind of thing.
You're absolutely right. I love it. I love the way you described it. And when you say elimination, what do you mean? You're talking more than digestive elimination, aren't you?
Oh, yes, yes, because it's that digestive waste that has overburdened the lymphatic system, that's allowed the cellular waste to accumulate. That's what becomes the stagnation. That's what's clogging up our interstitial spaces and causing cellular malfunction. So, in removing this stagnation, you're doing two things at once. You're removing the cause of cellular malfunction and you're opening up the pathway of that elimination, which is lasting. You're just reestablishing something that's already inside your body. And so it's not as if when you begin to allow more complex things or when you stop taking Dr. Morse's herbal formulas, that this process just automatically stops. Your body kind of takes it from there.
And when you say that your mouth, your jaw drops when about some of the things you've seen, can
Mhm.
you share some of those things
Oh,
generally?
yes, absolutely. So even just yesterday in one of my consultations, I surprised myself with an iridology reading. I was talking to a woman who had just undergone a double mastectomy last year. And of course, I was asking her what led to that. And she told me she had a tumor in one breast and cancer cells in another. And so she just decided to have them both removed. And in my mind, a tumor is something that I associate with canceled cells. Just because I know the level of stagnation is there, the likelihood, even if those medical tests are coming back, that it's inconclusive or whatever they're saying, I still associate that with that high level of stagnation. And so what I said to her was, well, if you look at your right eye, you can see where the separation in your fibers is within the mammary gland. You can see where your cholesterol there is blocking up the circulation in that area. And so just to see those two things come together, it kind of makes my head go,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But more specifically, I have had a client, a young man. He was in his early 30s, and he was dealing with a tumor on his sacrum that had caused him so much discomfort. He ended up bedridden on his stomach. Our consultations were of him like this.
Wow.
And he was able to look at me one day throughout our journey and say, I don't have any more pain. And the look
Wow.
on his face, it's stuck with me. I can close my eyes and still see his smile. The tears of joy, that became my own. But just seeing, oh, it gets me choked up now just talking about it. But just seeing that, it makes everything else worth it, honestly. When you can help somebody achieve that, just that in itself changed his life. And so I kind of joke about, my process. I'm able to move my bowels on my own, which is something that not a lot of us can do. And
Right.
that's really impactful as well. And so it doesn't matter if you're talking about a minor ailment or something that's much more intense, this process can help you no matter what you're dealing with.
Absolutely. And um, so I've seen over the years when people go through this, they have they go through something that some people like the term and some people don't. Something that we call a healing crisis, and that can put a lot of people
Yes.
off, right? It can put them off. It can make you scared. And in my experience,
Mhm.
that's when people are at their most vulnerable and at their weakest. And if they're not prepared, they think they blame what their diet change on this because we're programmed to think pain, discomfort is bad, it must be stopped.
Yes.
So how would you, so first of all, what is it and how would you recommend dealing with it?
So a healing crisis to me is cause for celebration, honestly. While it doesn't feel good and it rarely looks pretty, it's letting you know that your body is working on that area. So when you feel the discomfort or you see the flare up of your symptom, if you can remind yourself that this is a part of the process, I make sure that everyone I talk to understands that it's the natural progression of detox for your signs and symptoms to get worse before they get better. But when they start getting worse, that's when you know your body is working on it. Now, there is a lot of question. How do you know it's a healing crisis? How do you know it's associated to your detox? And that's when we bring it back to the diet, because the diet is what allows your body to enter into that state of detox. So the more inconsistent you are there, the more inconsistent your detox is going to be. And that's when it's harder for us to know if it is associated with your detox. And so that's when we just go back to it. If your diet is 90, 85% raw fruits, berries, melons, what you're feeling is a part of elimination. And so that a lot of times can settle you down. Personally speaking, that was definitely the case for me when I was going through my detox. And a lot of times it was like, oh, it's a healing crisis. I can do this then. And then also, understanding that you have complete control at any time along your detox because you can simply slow down your detox, and that creates a less intense symptom. All you have to do is distract your body with digestion, and now your lymphatic system is focused on that process rather than the detoxification process. So, the ideal way to get through a healing crisis is to let your body process through it from start to finish without a lot of intervention. Now, going back to where we're at in our evolution, some of our bodies are really sick. They're heavily stagnated. And so those healing crises can be really debilitating sometimes. And so that's where we use the diet to help navigate through that, moderate the symptoms. Of course, Dr. Morse's herbal formulas are always there, supporting cellular function, promoting that detoxification or the movement to help you get through that healing crisis that much faster. Sometimes it's as easy as an alternation of the dosage of the formulas. Sometimes I ask you to do a modality, dry brushing, castor oil pack, cold hot compress. A lot of that can help in the healing crisis as well. But sometimes the only answer is just to slow yourself down.
And how long would a healing crisis last for?
Oh gosh, that one's a tough question to answer because everybody is so different. the initial healing crisis of the cold or the flu, that can last for 1 to 2 weeks. I've had healing crises that were just a couple days, and I've had healing crises that were months long. And so it all depends in how you respond to that healing crisis. The less intervention you have to administer, then the faster you'll get through it.
Fantastic. So yeah, so you mentioned cold and flu type symptoms. I mean, they're not something we can say this will happen to you, because it depends on the individual, right? Because of their individual
Sure.
differences, their lifestyle, their genetics. But you generally know when you're going to get one, or when you get one, rather, you know. As you said, it's important to welcome it and not be afraid of it, and uh, and ride that wave. Um,
Yes, absolutely.
so you mentioned how important the formulas are, Dr. Morse's formulas in this process. Now, I see on social media, and we can't blame anybody. We've been programmed all our lives about treatment, 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 treatment. And people, especially newcomers, when they come to this, I'll see people say, which formula is best for a cough, for or what do
Hmm.
I take for my dry skin? What do I
Hmm.
take for rashes? And as I said, we can't blame them. That's how we're brought up. That's all we know. But the whole
Sure.
the formulas aren't there for that, are they?
No. So when you're taking the formulas in that type of way, you're essentially treating your symptoms, right? That's not what Dr. Morse is intending these formulas for. He doesn't want you to have to take them for the rest of your life. Our goal is to wean you off of them. We want your cells to function on their own without any aid. And so it I see it go both ways. There are some people that truly cannot uncondition their conditioned mind, and in that case, I do feel that the herbs are better than no herbs because
Right.
they will help. But that's not truly what Dr. Morris has intended them for. And so what I do during my detoxification journeys, when I write my protocols, I try to eliminate things as we go. And I also wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the herbs. I wanted to say that when you take them, when you're not in a state of detoxification, you're using them more as supplements. So they'll help you while you're taking them, but when you stop, the benefit is not there. If you follow the detoxification process while you're taking those herbal formulas, when you stop, the function remains because those cells not only help you during detox, but they're uplifting the individual consciousness of the cell, meaning they're teaching it something new, right? Your mind as a whole can learn something new, so can your individual cell. So there is this all these pieces of the puzzle have to come together in order for you to maintain, in order for your body to stay happy and healthy and continue that elimination process.
So what about, there are some people I know that you have people all over the world that speak with you.
Mhm.
Um, some people, because of their location, because of the regulations that the country they're in, they're not able to get the herbs. What would you
Mhm.
say then?
So then we rely on greatgate.com. I would say that I have talked to some that are completely unable to get the herbs. When we use grapegate.com,
Yeah,
anybody that has gone through Dr. Morris's courses and is out there trying to help others, they'll register themselves on this website.
right.
So it is a really big resource that we can use because these people are all over the world, not just here in the United States. And so two big supporters come to mind: herbsfordetox.com, that's located in the UK, and then Invictus Clinic, that's in Australia with Ben, who Dr. Morris had the pleasure of meeting and came
Yeah,
all the way over here from Australia
I
there.
know.
So that's two big resources that we use. But of course, anybody, any individual could have a stock of Dr. Morris's herbs. Now, if we can't get the herbs, then we rely on the diet, and we use the diet to help navigate as best as we can. Sometimes we can use single herbs to help promote or ease the body through detox, but I haven't seen those single herbs provide the results that Dr. Morse's do. While a lot of people say they're really strong, yes, they are really strong. They're really strong for a reason. And it's these formulas that have been helping others for almost 50 years. And so when they're too strong, we can rely on things like muscle testing and alter the dosage, that kind of thing. So where there's a will, there's a way for sure.
Absolutely. And what if you're on a budget?
Oh, I definitely understand that. During my detox, I was purchasing my formulas every 2 weeks. That was how I got paid, and that just happened to be how long a tincture bottle would last me.
Right.
And so I offer to rewrite the protocols any chance that I can. I always tell my clients that I tend to be on the conservative side of things. However, if your last name is not Trump or Gates, then finances definitely do matter. And so just knowing that you don't have to purchase your entire protocol at once, you can do it in stages. Like I said, I offer to rewrite the protocol to make it fit into their budget. In the event that they can provide a budget to me, I will follow that. But there's always a way to support your body. That's why Dr. Morse has those teas. You know, the herbs in their tea form, they're more cost effective. Those formulas will last you a lot longer in the tea form than they will in the tincture or the capsule form.
And which is your favorite? I don't know how to ask this. Your favorite herb, your favorite tincture? Do you have one?
Oh, golly, that is such a hard question. I Oh my gosh, Marco, I have no idea. I would have to say that I
Mine's
would have
kid.
to say
Go ahead. Sorry.
what's I would have to say that lymphatic 3 would be my favorite formula because I have seen this formula help others accomplish so much.
Wow. That's
Mhm,
amazing. Lymphatic 3. Okay. Oh,
mhm,
that's really good.
mhm.
That's a good tip.
Okay.
Um, and so someone's new to this, they're listening to this, they're thinking about or they've even done a detox. You've done a detox. Would you say that you've done a detox, your main the symptoms that were giving you problems have now gone? You've essentially done everything properly. And now I know a lot of people take a long, some people go through detoxes and they go in and they really go at it, and others take a long, a bit longer. But say you've
Mhm.
done all of it. You've done all of it. Would you recommend going on a detox annually or herbs or no herbs? Would you recommend it's something that people do or once you've done it?
Yes. Yes, I do. Now, of course, every case is different, right? Sometimes we have a case of canceled cells or cancer cells where that requires an extended period of detoxification. But for those that don't have to be as diligent, that have a little bit more freedom, their stagnation is not to that level just yet. I would say that kind of entering in and enjoying your life, that's kind of the philosophy that I follow. My original detox was 5.5 months, but knowing what I know now, that wasn't nearly long enough to remove all of the stagnation that I have built up. And so, depending upon where I'm at within my life, what I'm able to accomplish, I definitely do enter into an annual detox, at least a month or two, to get my body back on board, basically. Now, that being said, I follow a daily balance of 80% alkaline, 20% acidic. So I make sure that my body is still eliminating on a daily basis, which is how you're able to maintain your lymphatic system. I feel like I missed something there.
I don't think you did.
Okay,
Let me ask you. Well, it's not for me to say whether you did or you didn't, but I think you covered everything.
sure.
But
Okay.
there is one thing I want to ask you. Something that we see over and over again, and I'd like you to try and answer it. Oh yeah, detox. How long will I have to detox for?
Oh, yes. That's going back to how long will a healing crisis last?
Yeah, right.
Again, I might sound like a broken record here, and everybody's a little different as to how quickly their body responds, given their history and, their past medical treatments and all of that. But if we're not talking a serious diagnosis, a tumor, a canceled cell, that kind of thing, Dr. Morse encourages us to work on ourselves for about a year and see what type of progress we can make there. I have seen some make tremendous progress. I've seen others take a little bit longer, but always the diet has a hand in the pace of that detoxification journey. The intensity of the healing crises, kind of going back to that subject there with the fear. The calmer you can stay during a healing crisis, the better your body will function, through it. If you can keep your emotions to a low level and not let that acidic emotion of fear in, that means your adrenal glands aren't responding to your emotional response. They're still helping run your autonomic nervous system and help your body break down those sugars rather than, dealing with your fight or flight system.
And so you mentioned the emotions there. How
Mhm.
important do you think emotions and your calmness, your awareness, your life in general, should you make any, no, that's a stupid question. Let me rephrase it. How many adjustments, what type of adjustments should you make? Not whether you should, or you must make adjustments, but what type of adjustments should you make when you're going on a detox?
As far as your emotions are concerned, oh gosh, I would say control what you can control. If you follow that motto, which I mean, when you really break it down, what can you control? Most of the time, it's just yourself and your
Right,
response to the situation. And
right.
so, if you can take a second before your initial reaction, because most of the time, as human beings, we're leading with our emotions, that's our mind there. We're more powerful than our mind. We don't have to listen to those thoughts and we can take control of it. And I am living proof of that, if anybody is. I am an extreme rule follower. I'm very nosy. I need to know what everybody else is doing. Are they following the rules too? Because if not, there's consequences. That used to be my life. I used to focus on so many other things, but I couldn't control those things. And I think that's ultimately why I was focusing on them, because I felt so out of control. So when you take control back, and you realize you don't have to have those reactions. Most of the time, what other people are doing, it doesn't really impact you. And if it does, at that point, you can decide how to respond to it. Is it going to get you to where you want to be, or is it going to make things worse? A lot of times, if you just butt out, you will achieve that inner peace.
And you reminded me of trying to think of it now. Um, Anthony Hopkins, I think. Anthony Hopkins said, "What other people think of me is none of my business."
Yes,
Do you
yes,
remember
because you
that?
can't control it.
Right.
You cannot control it. You can't uh dictate how someone perceives you, how they
Yeah.
take your tone of voice, how they take your body language. It's impossible. And we could spend our lives trying to do that and never accomplish it. And so that's also something that brings me inner peace. I am who I am. This is what I do. This is how I do it. And it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
I like that. I like that. And
Mhm.
sometimes I think when something I believe irritates me, I think to myself, will it matter this time next year? Right. And it
Yes,
normally,
yeah.
you normally put,
Because where you're at now, it's not where you're going to stay. There's always room for change.
okay, here is a stupid question.
Okay.
All right. Here is and I say that, but um, I think we have come across and we've seen people who, something that I believe quite strongly is that we're addicted to this non-food diet that we generally are presented with in life, especially in the Western world. I think we really are addicted because when you ask some people to change their diet, they act like they're on the the excuses, and So, so
Hmm.
what would you say? Here's the stupid question, and the answer seems obvious. So I apologize. All right.
Oh, no.
All right. So I've come to you. You're my counselor, and
Hmm.
and I'm like, do I have to change my diet? Can I just eat a little bit of fruit just for breakfast, and can I have it with my eggs and sausage still? What would you say to someone who you get the sense that they don't really want to change their diet? Now, the answer is you've got to do it, right? Because if you don't do it, you don't do it. How,
Exactly. It's the diet. I would, I've definitely encountered these types of people. Tried every way that I could think of to get them to understand how this diet is creating a lack of elimination for them. Sometimes it's so simple that it's hard to believe. And so, in the event that I'm faced with somebody that just is not willing to change their diet, I remember what Dr. Morse told me when I first started doing this, when he kind of said, here you go, you're on your own, kind of thing. I said, sometimes I don't know how to respond. I get my emotions mixed up and I give too much of my energy. And, he looked at me and he said, firm, but with love. You can be firm and still come from a place of love. And so at that point, that's where I get into the firmness. I will just be 100% honest and say, this detoxification will not happen for you unless you change your diet. It's the diet that allows your body to enter into that state of detox. And without it, you're not going to see the elimination that you need to.
I love that you've said that. I really do, because if you're not careful when you help somebody, and I know there's a lot of detoxification specialists out there, they help people and they sometimes I feel like they haven't determined or they haven't asked the right questions to see if the person really is doing what they're supposed to. Because if they don't,
Mhm.
and sometimes this, I'm not talking about people who do this deliberately.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need a series of questions to really find out, because some people, I've had people, I've honestly had, well, there's one extreme case I had a long time ago that somebody told me, "Oh, Dr. Morse, yeah, he's really good. He's the man, and fruit, and yeah." And I said, "Let's go through what you eat." And he was honest. He said, "Well, I'm a student, so I have fried chicken for lunch, and then, but and he was telling me, and I at first I thought it was a joke. Someone's recording me, and because it was like a candid camera moment,
Yes, absolutely.
and." But some people do say they're on all fruit, and when you ask the right questions, you find out then they're not really, but they believe they
Hmm.
are, right? They believe they are.
Hmm.
But I like what you said, because if they don't take you have to take ownership. You have to take your own responsibility to do this.
Hmm. Hmm.
And as a counselor, you can make a note of that, but you have to be what's the word? Vigilant, careful. I don't mean that from a dangerous perspective, but because if someone thinks they're doing it with all the best intention and they're
Hmm.
not, they're going to come
Hmm.
back and say it didn't work.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest hurdles I face. Because I'm not there with my clients 24 hours a day. I don't hold their hand. And you do have to take ownership. Because, a lot of people say, thank you, you saved me. No, you
Mm.
saved yourself.
Right.
Because if you don't put in the work, you're not going to see the results. And it really is heartbreaking sometimes when you see people that are put in life or death situations and they just can't change their diet.
Mm.
It's so upsetting. We're showing you the way and all you have to do is eat this way for a temporary period of time
Mm.
to help yourself, to save your physical body. And for some, it's just not possible. But I I definitely see, the questions that need to be asked when you ask someone about their daily routine and they start breaking it down for you and you start finding out those little details and then you can see the realization on their face as well. Oh, wait a second. I haven't really been doing it as
Right.
diligent as I need to because even that one meal of fried chicken, it's disastrous. People think, oh, it's just one meal. Well, you can look at it from two different points of view. While, Dr. Morse tells us that a day with fruit is better than a day without it, absolutely, he's right. But you're putting your body through this vicious cycle when you're that inconsistent. Your body will never know what to expect. And
Right.
in some cases, it makes it harder on you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Jessica, any last tips you'd give, any tips that you have, anything that often comes up that you give someone that's thinking about doing this?
Oh gosh, I would just say to to keep the fear out. That is really hard to do. When we were going back to talking about the conditioned mind, some of my clients, they just aren't able to do that. When the fear, the healing crisis comes about, of course, the fear comes, it's a new symptom. So they stop the herbs, they stop the diet, and that halts the process. And that kind of keeps you where you're at. If you're if you're trying to detoxify your body and you don't have the elimination to support it, you're basically kicking up a bunch of dust and you won't see any relief. And so those healing crises are your body's way of kicking up that dust. And so if you can manage that, if you can manage your emotions, your detox is going to be that much easier on your body because it will free your adrenal glands. That's where I'm going with those emotions, right? Because without adrenal glands, we don't have kidney problems. When we see adrenal weakness, we see kidney problems. They're like this, no matter what you're going through. And so supporting those adrenal glands is supporting your kidneys, in my
Absolutely.
opinion. Mhm,
Absolutely. And mine too. Mine too.
mhm,
Okay, so before we go, Jessica, if I may, let me just ask you
mhm.
a couple of non-detox related questions,
Sure.
just so people can get to know you more. What's your favorite movie? Do you have one?
Oh, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but it's The Notebook.
The Notebook, really? Okay. What do you like about
Oh
it?
yeah, I'm a sucker for a good love story.
And is it, do you watch movies again and again? Or you've seen it and that's your favorite? And
That
that's,
movie, I do, yes. Anytime I'm flipping through the television, which nowadays I don't really do a lot now that I'm thinking about it, but if that movie's on, you bet I'm stopping on it.
that's awesome. And what about music? Favorite band, favorite
Oh,
song?
music. It's hard for me to choose a favorite song for sure, just
Okay.
because my love of music is so vast. I grew up listening to classic rock and what we would consider oldies, but they're not oldies to me. The music from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Have an intense love for that time period, but I love pop music. Which is, Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie, I guess you could say, but I just love all types of music, even music without words. Just instrumental
Yeah,
can calm and soothe and can get you excited and put you in a different type of mood. I've always loved music. Anytime I'm cleaning, cooking, always music on.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
And okay, if you had to go to a desert island, you could only take one thing with you. What would it be?
Oh no. Okay. Well, I can't say my juicer because there's no electricity. Oh gosh.
Oh, that might work. That.
This brings me back to thinking about that television show Naked and Afraid, how they get
Oh,
to
yeah,
bring
yeah.
one item with them.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess we would need, I don't know, Marco, what, I guess a fire starter,
I like it. Survival. That's what you're.
survival. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jessica,
Mhm.
you can speak to Jessica on morseshealthcenter.com. Click on services and you will see a initial consults for one or two people. And an initial consult includes one email response per week for 4 months. Wow, that's amazing. Uh,
Yes, I
follow up.
definitely want to be there. I love to know what's happening. I ask all my clients to keep me in their loop. Please let me know what's happening for you because the more I know, the better I can help you. And so I want to be there with you every step of the way.
That's fantastic. So one email response per week for 4 months, and follow-ups include one. So yeah, because you can have an initial consult, then you have follow-ups too. You can have a
Yes,
follow-up,
yeah.
and even a follow-up includes one email per week for 2 months. So
Mhm.
amazing, amazing.
Yes.
Jessica, thank you. You really I loved every minute of it. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for saying that, Marco. It really was a pleasure.
Thank you. Speak soon and take care.